Okay, so I thought I'd do a little roundup of our year together, seeing as we started sort of jumping 80s, and we've had a pretty exciting season, actually qualifying for Badminton Grassroots 90 in 2025. So yeah, I just wanted to go back and kind of review our journey, really, and just to kind of look back on. And here are some nice little photos that I added in. So starting at the beginning, so January we did the Riding Club 90 show jumping qualifiers at West Wilts, and on the face of it, this was our first 90 course, and it looks okay. Like, we went clear, we qualified with the team, but looking back, I'm still very out of balance. If I'm being really critical, I'm flying around, or at least I feel like I'm flying around. I was super pleased with him though, because he hadn't ever jumped indoors before, and the West Wilts indoor arena is actually quite pokey, especially for a big horse. But he was a super good boy, and as you can see there, I just kind of fly out the saddle, and I'm just not balanced, and we're not together. And it was kind of, I think this was the start of things feeling like they were unravelling. And again here, this was just some training at Hynham Court. You can see I was talking to myself all negatively. I just buried him and flew out the saddle. Now we're on to CCR. So this was at the end of January, I think. The 80, first fence, and bang. Nope. So we represented, and I just felt terrible because I'd planned to do the 80 and the 90, and I thought, wow, I can't even get round an 80. But I was like, no, we're gonna get round. I'm gonna be as positive as I can, and you can't hear, but I'm like, yeah, come on, constantly making noises. But look, wow, just green, horrible. Look, it's us, both of us. And I wanted the ground to swallow me up at this point. I did actually have a little cry. So I came back, we got round, and I actually went back HC, and we went round again. And he was a good boy to keep going. But I just felt so deflated. I felt like I couldn't ride, and I wasn't helping him, and I didn't know where to turn to, really. Massive difference when we move on later. So yeah, this was then at the point that I thought I need to do something. So I signed up to a hunt clinic with Victoria Patterson, thinking it would get us moving forward, just getting out and having some fun, really, just getting out of the arena. And wow, it was so good for us. So we are not that person, but here, flying his first hedge. He had the best time. And then we've got a next clip. Oh, this was another one just from the same day. It was so much fun, and I would massively recommend this to anyone who's like in the Gloucestershire area or in the sort of surrounding areas. I think this was Monmouthshire, actually, we travelled to. But it was so good, so beneficial, and just really got us riding forward and just remembering, to have fun. Here we are, flying. Such a good boy. I then booked onto a lesson with Victoria after that. Here we go. So went back just to have sort of some grid work with her. And again, that was so good. Just really little helpful, handy tips. And after that, I took them away and did a few arena hires. So here we're at Rectory, already feeling more positive. I then booked onto another lesson, but with Joe McDonald, again, helpful. So we're still not 100%, but there's definite improvement, and we're starting to understand each other's tune a bit. So look at his face. He loves to jump. And yeah, this is keeping it all really small at this stage. I was like, right, we're just going to try and stick to 80s and not really worry too much at the height. Although I think actually after this I'd entered an 80, but then it got cancelled, so we were straight in at a 90 event, which was our first one in May. But before that, here we go. We are back at Victoria's for the camp. So I signed up for the camp with her. Just doing lots of fun stuff, really, and this is actually now Victoria on him. Riding him in a much longer, lower frame here to build up his top line, really, and just getting really working over his back, so doing all those transitions, almost going back to walk, and then straight away going back up to trot to get him pushing from behind. But look how fabulous he looks. And it was so good to see Victoria riding him. This was on the last day of the camp, another hedge. And then this was a great hedge to jump. Nice drop on it. Yeah, so much fun.
Fantastic!
Then where do we go next? Here we go, Sway Cliff. So I then booked to do some cross-country schooling. When was this? This must have been in April. I forgot how much of a nightmare of a journey that is from where I am. It took us forever to get there, but it was so good. We had so much fun. And that was quite good. We actually that was kind of like a 90-100 combination, really. I was getting like Billy big balls at this point, and then I went herring into this ditch brush combination, and he flew that. And we were flying at this point now. My confidence was through the roof. He was picking up on it. Back at Rectory, just doing some arena hire. And I just feel like I'm riding much more positively, which is in turn obviously helping Finn's confidence. Looking back at this, I realised that I hire Rectory arena quite a lot. It's a great arena. So then we move on to, yes, this was April, so yeah, we move on to the Riding Club Championships at Arena UK. Oh my God, talking about journeys, that is a journey from hell from Gloucestershire. Took us 4 hours. That's the longest journey I've ever done in the lorry, like driving it myself. But Finn was so good, obviously stayed away. And this was actually his first ever treble combination, 1 stride in between each. Oh, and just look at him, such a pro. And I then pushed on here and took a stride out at the last, and he flew for a clear. It felt a bit hairy, but he was so good. And then we went on to our second round, which was indoors. Again, this is so much for him to look at. And he's such a pro. More often than not, he always goes into the arena and he has a little neigh as if to say, is there anybody here? But then I'm like, no, mate, it's just me and you. And he's like, okay, just cracks on. And actually, I didn't include it in, I've taken it off of this video purely because I tried to cut it down. But the last fence before we went into the jump off, I think he just couldn't see the light and we crashed through it. I will not crash through it, but like just took all the poles out, unfortunately. This was then back at Rectory just for one of their show jumping competitions, and I remember landing after that going, whoa, we need to slow down, mate. I know you're loving it, but and that was like a real turning point. I thought that we were both traveling so forward and really enjoying it. Then, this is our first event. So we went to Pontypool Cotswold Cup to do the 90 there. And I was a bit apprehensive, only because I had wanted to do an 80 first, but like I said, it got cancelled. I think it was bad weather, so we couldn't do it. And I just thought, right, we're just going to go, what the hell, just see what happens. I love Pontypool. And I remember coming out of this test feeling pretty pleased with it. There were a couple of areas which needed work on, like I think this one coming up, the transition. I nearly went out of the arena. Did not have my outside leg on there and too much inside rein. But again, he's just so good. Such a good boy. And he always produces really solid tests at this level. Prelim 90 level. He is like a solid, well now I can happily say he's a solid sub 30 horse. At this stage I think this was a 32. But yeah, very pleased with that. As you can see, big pats. Then we went on to the show jumping, and I have this terrible habit now of not walking courses. Basically because in my head, and it's a terrible thing, I'm like, I don't want to walk up to it on foot because I'm going to scare myself. So I just always watch other people. It's definitely something I need to get a grip of. But here, this just shows how big his stride, and he flew in, and then we struggled to fit that stride in, but he's so clever with his feet, especially at 90 level. He's very good to get his feet out like a little cat. But I've kept this whole video in really because I just want to show the progress from like the start of the season to the end. And I was really pleased with this because again, these are places that he's never seen. He's 6 years old, but last year he never evented. He'd never even been cross country. Oh, I think he'd been cross country once as a 4-year-old and jumped a couple of logs and things like that. But his first experience with me going cross country was when I took him to the 80 at Gatcombe, because we didn't get a chance to school beforehand. I can't remember, I think he got a stone in his foot or something like that, so he couldn't go, and we just ended up having to go straight in at the 80 at Gatcombe. And that was our first time, and that was last year. So then come around to this, I see, and I just love seeing the progression. That's obviously the first fence, and he's so green, but he's so willing. I also had a bit of a problem with my stopwatch, so I wasn't really concentrating on the first fence very well. But you'll see here, he's still green, can't get into the rhythm. Having a look, is quite scary under the tree. But then look at the difference. This is now towards the end of the course. Again, never jumped a skinny like that, with water behind it, let alone that. And just so genuine, such a good boy, he loves it. Then we move on to, this was Ascot under Witchwood, Crown Farm. This was another Cotswold Cup, the 90, and this was a horrible shouldn't round. Whoop. See, we got studs in, but we still slipped into that. I think I just chased him last minute again, like I usually do in the show jumping, or what I used to do. I need to change my the way I talk about that. That's what I used to do. I don't do that anymore. And this felt awful. It just, when you come out of a round and you think that was not flowing at all. He absolutely ballooned this one. Tom, who was recording it, was next to the commentary box, and apparently when he jumped it, all the commentators were like, whoa. And it doesn't probably look like it on video, but he can give the fences some air. But again, I'm being very critical about this. He went clear still, we got round, but I think it's because the fences are quite forgiving at this stage when we're jumping round 90s. But can't fault him at all. He's super good. If I get him a bit off, he's just like, okay, don't worry, I'll get us out of it. Then we've only got one clip of the cross country here, just going through the water.
Thanks, Bronwyn.
Splashing through the water. He just loves cross country, really.
Debbie Baker completes
and
her round.
he felt awesome this day.
On the
became
halfway
second
stage.
there. Oh, ninth at Pontypool, second here. There we go. Forgot to say that. Then this was our first metre clear round at CCR down the road. As you can see, we had the first one down. But yeah, this was our first time having a go at it. I just thought, no pressure. I'm taking another stride out there. No pressure, just have a go kind of thing. We had 4 poles down, but I was absolutely over the moon because it felt massive. We hadn't really been jumping that at home. I just thought, let's just give it a go and see how we get on with it. And it's great, this sort of clear round thing, because you can just do circles, don't need to dress up, and there's hardly anyone there. It's just great practice. But I came away thinking, we're not quite ready for this yet. But I was just super pleased with his attitude. And I was actually quite pleased with the fact I was ballsy and did it. This last fence, I was just not straight at all, hence why we took it out. But yeah, so chuffed with him. Then we go on to our first BE event, and I decided to choose Bitton and stay away. Turns out Bitton's actually quite a stiff cross-country course and very undulating, because I'd never been there before. But it was so much fun. It was actually over my birthday weekend. So made a trip of it, had a bit of a barbecue, a few beers, which was really nice. And Finn loves to stay away. Oh my God, look at that canter transition. That was brilliant. If I do say so myself, I was actually very disappointed with this test. I'm not often coming out of tests on Finn feeling disappointed, but he warmed up beautifully. But then behind where the camera is, there's blue judges boxes. So we were late to that transition, which he just took a dislike to. And I know it doesn't look like it, but underneath me, he just felt like a ball of anxiousness. And this halt, ladies and gentlemen, is probably one of the worst halts I've ever done in my life. So you're welcome. He went through a stage of moving, and I thought, right, I need to stop this. So I gave him a little kick, and he was took much offence to the fact that I'd asked him not to do that. But I think we still ended up, I'm sure it was a 33 or 32. That was our worst score. So to be getting those when I thought it was a very bad test, is pretty good. this show jumping around felt insane, like insanely good. Surfaces, he seems to like, I don't know, I feel like he was really springy off surfaces. Ballooned that one. And I just thought he was going to be quite lucky, especially at this. It was all rustic, but it was just a lot to look at. But again, he absolutely ballooned those. I got a picture over that one, and his back end is up in the air. But I was pretty pleased with my riding as well, to be fair. I felt like I was riding quite forward and confidently. I did screw up the last line, but good old Finn got us out the mess for yet another clear show jumping. I'm like, this has never ever happened, can I just say, in all the history of horses I've ever had, to have this much success is overwhelming, to be honest. And this horse is just so very talented. On to the cross country. There we go, sat nav error by the pilot there, so I went the wrong way and had to turn around, and we were, I think, about 2 seconds over the time, so we actually would have made the time. This is the last water complex. I was absolutely over the moon with him, because this was the stiffest cross country competition, and there were some pretty meaty hills up and down, and I really didn't think we were going to make the time. So to only be a couple of seconds over, purely because I went the wrong bloody way, it was pretty good. And we came 7th, that was at Bitton. So then we went on to Westwilt, so here we are, another dressage test that I was not particularly pleased about. Like, again, it felt fine, but it just felt fine, and I came out of this thinking, right, I need to go and have some more lessons with Justine. He did a nice transition here, yeah, a bit static, but he went to drift down. I put my leg on, and he's never done this. He went, no, bugger off. Don't do that. But it's fine. We picked it up, carried on. We got through it. But yeah, I came out feeling not deflated, but just a bit, that was okay. And I can't remember. Again, I think that was low 30, maybe a 30. It might even be a sub 30. I really should have looked at these scores before I did this. But it was around the same as what we had been getting. Which again, is not too bad for when you don't think that they've been going particularly well. But we did go on to the jumping. So the best part, he felt really fresh and really pingy for this. Again, I was just really pleased with the whole round of this. And if we can just remember at the start of the video, that course at CCR, there's just such a difference now in both of us. We are really starting to gel, and for me, 90 is starting to feel comfortable again. Like years ago, and I say years ago, it will be about 12, 13 years ago now, I was jumping much bigger with my horse. We were doing novice, the old format 1 star. We'd actually did a fox hunter on a ticket, which is annoying. We did it on a ticket because it's obviously then it's not written in the stars anywhere, is it? But when you have a break, he absolutely ballooned that. I love that. And then I asked him to come back because this was a really short striding double, and he was so clever. Such a clever boy. Yeah, when you have a bit of a break from it, it's amazing what your head can tell you can't do, basically, and it can really take time to get back to where you were. I love that as well. In between that little related distance there, I just asked for a little wait, and I don't know if you saw his back end, it just came back. It was just the smallest of movements. Oh, I was so pleased after that. I was very vocal in that round. And then we just got a small little snippet from the cross country. So this is the start. He was really spooky on this cross country though, because I thought it was quite a simple cross country, and I don't know whether it wasn't very flowing. It was constantly turning, and you didn't really get a good gallop. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it. But he still went round. He was very genuine, and we placed 2nd there. So that was what got us our regional ticket. So we then moved on to Sapie. Wow, this is a day that I am not going to forget for a long time. I remember coming out of this test absolutely chuffed. So I had just been for a lesson with Justine after not having feeling like West Wilts had gone very well, and it just felt so good. Justine Soul is just an absolute magician. I just really gel with her, and she has helped me so much with my dressage. And it really showed with this test. I don't know if I left the whole test in. I might have left the whole test in because I was so chuffed and wanted it to be shown. But we actually scored a 24.5, which is my PB, Finn's PB. A score which I just didn't even think was possible to score, to be honest. It's just so lovely and fluent. Like, if I'm being really hypercritical when I'm watching this, there could be more more step to it. If I don't know how to say it. Oh, and that counter transition was not good. He came back at me. That's something that we have been working on. I can't even remember what test this is. I'm very bad at this voiceover thing, aren't I? Should really check what the tests are, because this was the same test. Oh no, we haven't done this one before. It was the weird centerline one. I actually remember thinking that I really thought that walk was great, and actually that was one of my lower scoring marks. But there we go. I'm not a judge. That transition was ever so slightly better, but still came back at me. I feel like we've got much better at those now, but and I messed up that transition. So that was the lowest score because I didn't want him to break early, so I kept my leg on a bit too much, which meant we just went past the marker. We were supposed to trot at X, and I knew I did that, but I was not bothered in the slightest because it just felt so good, and I was so pleased with him, and I was actually really pleased with myself apart from that. I just thought it looked good and felt good, and I actually came out and Tom was like, wow, that looked really good. Tom, my husband, that is not horsey. So for him to say that. Then we went on to the show jumping, which I wasn't particularly concerned about, but you just never really know, do you? It's not a particularly spooky course. I always think that Sapie's quite like old school, but they do build their courses, I find, to try and make the most out of the undulations. I know it doesn't look like it here, but like now we're going downhill into sort of a spread. And then you've got to just make sure you're sitting up enough, so he had to jink to get that stride in for the upright. But I do remember I came out with this again. I said to Amy, who was there, I was like, that didn't feel good. Like, it felt messy. And then she said, oh no, that's one of the best rounds I've seen you ride. But I was just it was still all the talking yourself down. I do that a lot. I do it too much. Because when I looked at it back, I was like, actually, no, that looks great. Like, there's always going to be places to improve on, but on the whole, it's just so good to look back on this and to see how far we've both come. Another clear. Going into cross country on 24.5, just absolutely mental. So this was near the end of the course. I do have all these equa reels, but I don't need to put them in here because it would just make the video so long. So these are just some little clips. We just got the water here. I was so up on my time at this point. I was trying to slow up going into that this fence here, and Finn just took a stride out. But yeah, it's amazing how easy he can make the time for such a big horse. Just got such a big stride. So now we are on to... Oh, so yes, I did not to say. So Sapie, we finished on 24.5 and blimmin' well won. Never ever won a B event in my life. I could not believe it. It's such a good day. Such a good day. So that actually gave us a second regional qualified ticket, which I was going to use a little Downham if I needed. But as it so happens, here we are at Chillington, another new venue, which I've never been to before, but absolutely lovely venue, and I definitely want to come back to do the regional championships. Can't remember what they call them now. It's something slightly different, but this test, I'm so picky. I thought it was okay. But there were just points when I was going around thinking, I could be asking for more here, but I really don't want to, because I felt like if I asked for more, I would have tipped him over the edge. He just felt a bit... When he gets a little bit, like, anxious or nervous, he just withdraws a bit. So he doesn't look tense. But if I try to put my leg on, there isn't much. So I was just trying to nurse ourselves through this test, because a couple of days before I'd gone for a lesson with Justine, and he'd gone really well, and she'd given me so many pointers, and I just wanted to ride it to the best of our ability. Something which we kind of found quite hard, because he's such a big horse and I am maybe not as strong on him as maybe like a pro rider or like a male. I just find it hard to contain him. So one of the movements in here we struggle with is the cantering like across the diagonal to the other side. So you don't do canter, but it's almost like you're about to do it. But we did pretty much nail them. But yeah, the test just felt fine. And sorry, I've left the whole video in again because I just wanted to show it. I just wanted it here in the old bank. That was quite a good transition, but could have been better. So on this one, what did we get? We got 28 or 27. Maybe it's no, I think it was 27.8. It was basically late 20s. So when I saw that, to get that mark at a regional qualifier, I was like, wow, I am absolutely buzzed. So I was super pleased. And actually, it does look good. It looks good. It's a nice picture, but there's just so much more that we can improve on, which is fine. It's just part and parcel. We've then got the canter the other way. And fun fact, I've fallen off Finn twice now. The second time I fell off him was here. When we were on our way to the show jumping warm-up, we had one of those electric bikes that came up behind us, and he's like I've said, he's a bit of an oddball. He just gets things in his head. He feels like things are out to get him because he's a big baby, and he just took off with me, bucking, and he's never bucked with me before, and his bucks are big. Wow. So after the second big buck, I thought I was aborting, and I took my feet out to get off, and right at that moment he decided to do another buck, so he deposited me on the ground and stood staring at me very bewildered about what had just happened. That's now triggered a bit of an issue with bikes, but we're working through that because we're going to have to for badminton, because there are going to be a lot of bikes there, I think. But that brings us to the end of the test. Good boy, Finster. And on to the show jumping with my green patch on my knee where I'd fallen off. So I actually thought the height of this, it felt small to me. Like obviously 90 is 90, but I thought it would have been, I guess you could only make 90 so big, but, or maybe it's just because I've just started getting used to the height. Again, I didn't feel like I rode to the best of my ability. It felt like I was just quite like hangy and then pushy. So I was like hanging off him and then no, go now. But you look back and it looks good. There's nothing you can really fault too much. He was a very good boy. There was lots to look at, all the flowers, you've got the marquees around the outside. And he's just a pro about stuff like this. It's just coming to the end here. And I just remember thinking after, what was it? It was after I jumped this one, I was like, wow, I've only got 2 fences. Do not screw this up, Ellie, because you're then going to go into cross country on a horse that's very genuine cross country on a very good score. And he rattled that one because I pushed him. So I looked back, which is what you should never do, but I did. But yes, clear. And on to the cross country, which I could not wait to get to because there were questions on this. Again, I could have put the equa reel on, but you don't need to see that. It's on, I'm sure people have seen it. It's all over my Instagram and Facebook and that. But he started off strong. And again, I need to work out with my watch more. I'm not somebody that does the whole minute markers. I'm just somebody that just, especially at 90, I just go really fast and then I just look at my watch near the end and think, do I need to slow up or do I need to go faster? And it turned out I needed to slow up. I was coming into this thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get time fox going too quick. So I was trying to slow up, but without going back to trot. And then at this little dip, he did break to trot. I was like, no, I don't want to get penalties. So back up into canter and then just try and pop that and try and pull up slowly while we're going over the line.
And into the top 3, again, don't forget to come up with your photograph.
Prize giving in front of the house, which Tom, my husband, was most displeased about having to wait an extra.
Second place,
they took
says
a long time, about an hour and a
owned
half.
and
No
ridden
rugby
by
on.
Susan Bill.
But there we go. Okay, so that was we came third there. That is our event season over. We were supposed to be going to we qualified for the Cotswold Cup Championships, but I actually decided to withdraw and just leave it on a good note because we just didn't need to go and do any more, especially the ground conditions were going to be quite challenging. So we ended it there and he had a little 2-week break before we started doing a bit of jumping again, because this is our aim for the winter, is to crack the jumping. I really, really want to get out at 100s next year. There's no reason why we both can't do it. He loves cross country. He's got so much scope. Dressage is absolutely fine. It's just the show jumping demons for me. And that is why we've registered BS. And I wanted to include this round, and I've also included the one from Hartbury after this. So this is at Leyland Court doing the 95. And he's actually he is making show jumping so much more fun because he's very manoeuvrable for a big lad. We didn't do any turns in this one because it was the 95, and I just wanted to go for a really nice clear round and a really forward one. So this is actually 6 strides and we put 4 in. But he loves it. He loves the jump offs. I gave him a little kick in the 90 before here just to go a bit faster, and he like kind of kicked out a bit. Because he was enjoying it so much. But this round is the best round that we have jumped. It just felt so smooth, so rhythmical, so forward, and I was absolutely chuffed. We came second. Even getting placings at BS, what a good boy. Look at him. And then this is then our most recent outing at Hartbury, where I put my big girl pants on and entered the Discovery. It just had to be done. And sorry, there are some shaky moments to this video because Tom is trying to hold the dog that is trying to get through the railings to see me. Again, I don't think this was our best round, as you will see, but like, so confident. I came out thinking that wasn't too big. I did not walk this course because I did not want to get scared. But like here, I kind of messed the stride up and he's like, don't worry, I got it. that's something I just need to get a bit sharper with as we're starting to jump a bit bigger. I then buried him into this. There was no way he could get his legs out of the way. And I can see on this, I was not straight. And just as it gets a little bit bigger, if you're not straight and you miss those things, that is when the poles come down. But it's fine. We regained everything lovely through this double. And I thought, I'm not going to do the show jump turn for this because this is quite a big upright. We did it in the 90, but I was not doing it for the meter. And got a lovely shot, pinged over that. He was a little bit lucky at this one, and a few of them were, but of course I just asked him to go and he still went. And then I made sure to keep riding around this corner, riding forward, don't hold back. To the last, and wow, oh my God, I was just so pleased with this. We did it, the discovery, and at Heartbury. I always find they build it bigger, Heartbury. Such a good boy.